viewers who are joining us from around the world, all our global buyers and stakeholders from India, from the private sector and from the government. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining in on the leadership panels which are happening to the India Tourism Market virtual. The purpose of these panels are to enable the best voices of the industry to come forward and share their thoughts, which then enables the government and industry to work together and take tourism forward, more so needed now in this post-revival, post-COVID era. So we have got a fantastic session, which is so critical to all of us who are attending, and we have a phenomenal panel. And I would invite the moderator of the panel, Pranav Sarkar, the President of Indian Association of Tour Operators, and our Board of Director of Fate to take over. Best wishes, everyone, and thank you. Namaste.
Namaste, all viewers from around the world and our panelists here. Thank you, Ashish, for giving us this opportunity during this ITM. The main feature on this is the future competitiveness of package tourism in India. As you are aware, for over 10 months, tourism industry is going through big crisis due to COVID-19, especially the inbound travel and tourism industry is worse affected as all visas are suspended and international flights are cancelled since March 2020. Offices of tour operators, travel agents are closed as we are experiencing the slowdown of this pandemic, and after the vaccination process is going on many countries, we hope that tourism is going to open up soon. With this positive note, during this ITM, we want to showcase India is opening for tourism. Therefore, this session will address the opportunities of making Indian package holidays globally competitive while addressing the challenges of taxation, branding, and global reach of Indian tourism. My first question for all the panelists is this, that the tour operator design and promote package tours amongst their clients for groups, FITs, families, friends, MICE tourism, and all other segments. During this present crisis of pandemic, this is not happening. So, how you are looking at the existence of your counterparts in your source markets and how they are going to come out of this crisis, and what is your understanding and scope of future business with them. I would like Mr. Deepak Deva to give his first view on this, and then we'll pass on to Mr. Vikram Madhok and then Mr. Homa Mistry. Yes, over to Deepak.
Thank you so much, Pranav, and good morning to everybody who's listening. Yes, as you said, these are unbelievable times that for the last 11 months our industry has not seen a customer come through our borders, and we literally, most people have to just shut their offices and work from home. So to your question about the overseas agents, you see, the overseas agents have their government supporting their people and companies. Their governments understand the importance of tourism and the positive future economic impact. So salaries are paid, they have a social structure, a social system in place. Companies have been given working capital to ensure that they don't sink. And with this, they will all come back, but may change their business model, or they may come back with lesser number of people. A lot of companies have downsized, more right-sized their companies, and they may also look at destinations which are profitable for them and work with those destinations going forward. So there will be a lot of portfolio adjustment done by a lot of customers. They will also be working closer with tourist boards. Tourist boards are going to go ahead and also push for customers and get their destinations funded and create demand. But there will be a shift. There will definitely be a shift even in the buying patterns. And individual trips will increase because people will want to travel more as FITs. Incentives will take a little time to come back because corporates are not going to spend money very easily. and group travel will continue, but I feel that it will be more on with us, more like specialized companies will come back. So to the market we will see will change a little bit. The good companies with deep pockets will survive. The companies that ran business with absolutely thin margins and were just trying to create volume by with no focus on profits, they don't have a chance coming back.
Thank you, Deepak. And now, Mr. Mudhok, if you can give some of your viewpoints. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Pranab. Thank you, Faith, for having me on this afternoon. Actually, the morning. I think Deepak has actually outlined very clearly what tour operators will perhaps look at doing and the way forward that is going to be in the short term. But I think minus government support, I think a lot of tour operators who happen to exist without government support, they will really go in for destinations that are trending or destinations that are perhaps more marketable, and they will not really support destinations that they feel are compromised or where there's a health and safety issue. So this is where something like India needs to chip in and make sure that we remain top of mind and remain relevant with tour operators who promote India historically. And we should not let them go, because they're the ones who have been promoting us over the last 20, 30 years. So we should go and of course, support them. So this is one thing that is very important. In the absence of any support to these tour operators, I do believe that we may see a few tour operators who historically have been promoting India may not continue to do so, given that India is a long-haul destination. A long-haul destination requires more comfort levels for people to get on a plane to fly between 6 and 15 hours to come to a destination. So I think we need to support them. A lot of tour operators are going to be altering their offerings. They perhaps at first need to build confidence with their client base. They will offer them holidays that are more in the wilderness, in secluded areas, beach areas, areas where perhaps all the areas where what are our strengths in India, which is our markets and souks and big cities and so on and so forth. Perhaps that may take a little bit of a backseat, but they would go into the wilderness and look at promoting areas where there is perhaps a better opportunity to promote. Short haul is what's going to come back, I think, first, and thereafter long haul. Eventually, 2022 or beyond, I don't believe there's an issue. India should remain top of mind, and people will come back.
Okay. Thank you, Vikram. And Mr. Homa, please give your points.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. My friends have already explained the exact position as far as inbound is concerned. So as a company, we definitely are in touch with all our counterparts. And 2-3 things have happened. Some of our main operators whom we depended on have gone bust. They just couldn't handle it and they've closed down. Part two is a lot of the product managers that were handling India, again, in our case, have changed in the sense that the companies were downsizing. Somehow we've seen that the ones on the top have been asked to go to leave. Yes, they are looked after by their government, but what we see is we'll be starting afresh when we start, because again, it's a game of relationship, and building relationship is going to start again. So this pandemic is not going to end as we are seeing when the airports open. When things open up, the exact situation our counterparts are in, we will know only when we go and meet them. The fact remains that today the government is helping, but tourism, or all those companies which are vibrant, they need to keep investing again and again. So it is not that you have a lot of surplus all the time available, be it with our counterparts or people who are giving us business also. So I am sure each one of them is having issues, and they will look at destinations which give them more money, and they will start accordingly. We are in touch, and we are hopeful that even if 50% of the business comes back next year, I think we've achieved it. That's all.
Okay. Thank you.
Pranab, let me add
Yes,
to
yes,
that and
yes.
come back, because I think it's important. You know, as a company, as Abercrombie in Kenton, what we do globally, we remain solid because we are in a position where we have positive cash flows, both from internal and external in relation with payroll, the paycheck protection plan that the various governments have given across the world. We will not be having an issue in promoting Incredible India, and for that matter, we are all ready and raring to go. In fact, a quick dipstick survey shows that the interest in destinations, not necessarily India, but just as a quick back of envelope, we've already picked up business in the last 45 days, 60 days, of almost 40% of 2021 for the destinations that are open. Unfortunately, we promote 54 destinations. It's important for you to put things in perspective. Of the 54, 14 are open. In those 14 destinations, we picked up 40% of business already. So it's not that it's all lost for the moment. I think it's a matter of time. Once India opens up its borders, once, of course, now that the vaccine is on in full swing, both at the source market level and at within India, our report card in India has been excellent thus far. So I believe that going forward, at least a company like ours, we will be seeing excellent growth, but in more like 2022.
Right. Okay. Mrs. Sharma would like to say something on the subject.
Yes, the issues. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and it is a regular interaction like that, and especially at this point of time when we are at the verge of opening up, hopefully in very near future. It is important that we take stock of how the other destinations are performing, what are the major tour companies are doing, and what it tells to the other tour operators who are still to take their decision how to move forward. I think this kind of a panel discussion, and I'm sure the questions from the audience also will help us in seeing a 360-degree view and see what needs to be done and where the intervention of the government is required. So for us, the topic which is talking about the packaged tourism, where the whole services provided for has many complexions. The complexion one is that how do we keep Incredible India on the top of the head? How do the Indian companies keep performing and be profitable? And that would apply both to the inbound and outbound, because ultimately it is about creation of the wealth and the creation of the jobs. So there are a few things which have happened. As all of us know that in India, we have not been able to give the job like the security on the salaries and stuff, which all of you are aware of because of various reasons. But there are certain incentives which have come in the indirect fashion. However, on the other side, if you look at the infrastructure status, whether it is handling of the COVID challenge or even investing in the vaccine, is going to something which will be a great boost for the economy as well as to the tourism sector in the long run. If you ask me to say which is the best thing which would have happened is that, as I think Mr. Madhuk mentioned, keeping our fingers crossed, we have done well in handling the COVID. The kind of population this country has, the kind of challenges it has because of the overcrowded and at least considered overcrowded destination, we have been doing very well. And the vaccine, whether it is being for the Indians or for the whole humanity, I think again a very major thing. And as you might have noticed, this year's budget has given a lot of importance to the to this aspect. So these are some very positive things. It would help in creating the right kind of reputation for being a safe destination. Another thing is, again, I would like to say, and I think that is already again a kind of on the back of the envelope thing, is that we need to promote now destinations like national parks or some beaches which are the not crowded beaches. India has enough of them. We may not have promoted them earlier. I'm not talking of promoting by the ministries or the departments. I'm talking about the tourism service provider, that they should look at the new products, because those products might be something which maybe your customers might be looking at. So these are my initial comments, and I'm here to kind of react if something comes as part of the panel discussion.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Deepak, and your very valuable points. And I appreciate that the correction to take place. And Vikram's points are very good. Destination profitability has to be the key issue for the source market to look at India as a destination, and we need to grow on that. And deep pocket is another issue that we have to survive. And Homa did mention that some are closed and some are downsized. That is obviously, but it will come back again, I'm sure. And Madam Sharma has informed that some new destinations and new products are going to be the new emerging, packages which are going to benefit the industry, I'm sure. Now, my next point is that, as we all know, India tourism is heavily taxed by the government. Each service component is taxed at different rates of GST. Hotels charge differently, transport charge differently, guides and other services. The total amount is going to be very high. So this is without any, tax return from the government. It is the average cost is approximately 20 to 24%, which is going out of competition as compared to our neighboring countries, in comparison with our neighboring countries who charge only 6 to 8% only. In view of that, what do you think about competitiveness of Indian packages compared to our neighboring and competing countries? How should these be corrected to remain in competition and attract tourists? So that is a very valid point, as on date rightly mentioned, that in order to bring back with the corrections, we need to really have to be very, very competitive. So what is your take on this? I would like to request Mr. Homa Mistry on this issue to start with. If he has the points, please share with us.
So tax on tax, or large taxes which are put on various products of tourism, have been there for a long time. I think we have been hitting our head against the wall trying to explain at all forums that the taxes that we pay compared to our neighboring countries, we have been speaking about this for a number of years. But the reason it remains like that is because our neighboring friends, our neighboring countries understand as a country the importance of tourism. And tourism is in the top 3 industries over there. And therefore, they have acted accordingly. Unfortunately, in our country, tourism does not play such an important role, and therefore we land up, not getting the due that we should get. So, if you ask me, is there an answer to it? No. The only answer is when, for example, if you take 20 years ago, India was not an IT hub, but the government at that time somehow decided that we need to grow in this segment. and therefore made policies in such a way, and they made such beautiful policies that companies which were selling oil like Wipro jumped into making IT, and companies which were making steel came into IT. Why did that happen? Because there were policies drafted where the organizations saw that there was a great future in this, and there was great profitability, and they jumped into it. So till the time our government does not look at tourism seriously, whereby giving it the right due that it should get, like everywhere in the world, the day that happens, and that happens from the top only, I am sure that in the new tourism policy, as they said, 33 million, you can do more than 33 million. It is just that only a few taxes up and down is not going to help us. It's a combined effort, and it has to come from PM's level. The day the government decides that this sector, then all large corporates will be a part of tourism, and we will grow by leaps and bounds. But at the moment, if you say 5 or 7%, I have no answer to this. So that's my feeling about it. Thanks.
Right. Vikram, what is your take on this?
So, historically, India has always been an overtaxed country as far as tourism goes. This is not from now. This has been, this is ever since I've been in the industry. We've always spoken about it. Perhaps there was some element of rationalization when the GST was lowered. But as Homa again mentioned, that if you compare our destination, and actually we all know it, with our neighboring countries, it's again a priority for the government or how they see or how they perceive tourism. Unfortunately, we're not perceived, our government perhaps does not perceive tourism in the same light as their governments do, notwithstanding. I think we as an industry have to all, if you're talking about competitiveness, and I'm going to come directly to answer your question, I think we need to work with our partners. So we need to work with hotels, we need to work with airlines, we need to work with transporters. Again, of course, as you know, what's going on with transportation, fuel has been hiked 2 or 3 times in the last few months. So prices are going to go up, spiral up. But a good 80% of a package cost comprises hotels, airlines, transportation, 85, and then the rest is all taxes. I think we just have to work with our partners to make sure that we can get them to understand that they need to be competitive for us to go out into the market. It's no point that we are working with divergent views. We should all be aligned, all on the same platform, that we need to go at least for the first initial short-term period of 2 years, 21, the last quarter, 22, to bring people back. I think we need to look at pricing very carefully. If the government is kind enough to even rationalize the taxation on a tour operator package by 5%, I do believe that will help us immensely because that will give us an edge. Otherwise, we will be again going back on the same matter of overly taxed and overly as a destination.
Right, Vikram, and I would now request Mr. Deepak, please give your viewpoints.
Yeah, Mr. Sarkar, my view, I have a little different take on this. 2019 was the best year ever for most companies. And that year we had rationalized taxes. I mean, 18% GST, etc., etc. And we all had a great year. We all made good profits. We were competitive. Business grew, right? We also had the additional benefit of the government giving us the export earnings of SEIS, which was a tool to make you competitive by another 5%, let's say. So there were these two, this was the situation, and we went out into the marketplace and gave the best year to Incredible India. I think it is time that we stop fighting about taxes. We have no case. I mean, you have been many years in the industry. I've seen this for many years in many discussions, many forums. I think we are, as associations and as people, we should just stop talking taxes with the government. This is one subject that never gets resolved. What we should do is, I'll tell you, I'll give you an example of a discussion I had with a senior minister at one time. I asked the question, can you reduce our taxes? And he asked me a simple question and said, if I reduce your taxes, how much tourism will increase and how much does the industry guarantee that the business will increase in me to offset the taxes against gain from tourism? You and I both know we have no data. We don't know how to collect data and we don't know how to demonstrate data, and we cannot back up our data. We come out with numbers of employment, unemployment, all that all over the place. Within 15 days, the numbers start changing with different forums. So I think we have to be very careful about the way we approach this subject. A simple one, and all my other co-panelists will find this a current problem. TCS is being slapped onto us. There's no logic. So how will you fight something like this where there's no logic? I don't know how to go and explain it. So I just have to lump it. What we need to do is have a one-point agenda, and that is demand export status. Export status for services we deliver. Basically, we are demanding that we be treated equal to exporters. There is no difference. That puts us at a very good GST position. We can reclaim our taxes. You go on to zero base, etc., etc. That solves all our problems. Yes, it's been a demand for many years. I believe that at some stage, if the government does see this sees merit in this and does consider this industry generating 7-8% GDP, they must give this to us. It will solve all our problems and we will be competitive.
Thank you, Deepak. Madam Sharma, please give your viewpoints, if any.
So I think it's important to be a competitive nation when we talk about such kind of services. I mean, that point I take, and I also take your point that India may be considered a, more taxed nation than compared to so many, and not only in tourism. That may be true for various sectors. So there is no doubt that the tourism may be seen as a little less competitive than our neighbors, like, we are talking of Southeast Asian countries. And that, after saying that, I would say that there was a need, government considered that was an important thing. And as Mr. Deepak Deva just mentioned, the rates were brought down. Rates were brought down because could not be brought down maybe to the satisfaction of the industry, but that is how the whole ecosystem is. If you see in a country like India, considering it as a priority sector, tourism is a difficult task even today. Even when everybody is in agreement that the tourism does create a lot of jobs and actually create jobs across the value chain. However, as the kind of resource requirement of the government is concerned, it is always a question of balancing the both sides of the balance sheet, right? So I think that is the point. However, when you talk about giving the export status, can be seen as a valid demand. And I think your request is with the government, and we have been taking up that issue with the concerned departments. Again, it's a political call. It is also of creating the right infrastructure to make it happen and not become a kind of a leakage kind of a situation. So there are two things which involved in that. One is considering of operating that provision. There is already in the GST, the refund position exists. There is already a enabling clause in the act. It is just about implementing it. And the other thing is, how do we ensure that it actually benefits the sector which is expected to benefit? I think these are the only two issues. And I think as far as the Ministry of Tourism is concerned, we are very open to this idea.
Thank you, madam. I think very valid points have been raised, that industry is tax on tax, and need of the hour is to get the industry status. Yes, ACIS is giving some extent of leverage to compete the market, but our competitors are more aggressive. What we are doing, they are going ahead and doing little further on that. If you look at the few years back, when India started bringing the e-visa in action, other countries also immediately started doing e-visas. So our competition is increasing. And when India is having some taxes, so they have reduced the taxes, because it is a whole Asian countries. The Southeast Asia is looked at is as a one destination, and they are trying to lure the passengers. If the long distance, long haul tourists are coming, they look at as Asia and Southeast Asia, and they choose the country which is lower. So therefore, government has to look into in some way that this industry need to be looked after, because as Madam Sharma ji has also rightly mentioned, that it creates multiple jobs, which is very, very important, and also invaluable for an exchange, which we cannot deny the fact that it is going to give a multiplier effect of opportunities to the young people. So government need to look at, even if it is politically, you have to look at on a job opportunities. Even our Prime Minister is also saying the same thing. So the main takeaway is that we have to fight our cause for making it a exporter status. As good as the IT industry, they flourished, we will also flourish, I'm sure, and the competition will be balanced with other nations. That is where we have to see, if we have to target 33 million by 2025. I think we need to look at those areas very seriously, and government should consider these points very seriously, and help the industry. Thank you very much.
One more thing I would like to say. Of
Yes.
course, being competitive from the cost angle is very good. But let's not forget that India offers the product which no other single country can offer. Are we ready to take that up? So I'm coming now on your side of the table and asking, are we packaging our product saying, see, if how the Vilas properties get booked compared to other one. So there is something more than the cost. It is also about what product we are offering and what kind of services we are offering. Because today, as we have been looking at it last 2 months, the traveler is cautious. The traveler is also expecting a much better experience, not necessarily at a less cost. If you ask me, the last 2 months has not been the travel at lesser cost. It has been travel with something more to do. So I think that when you are all, I'm sure all your you are expert in this business. All of you are very kind of tuned into this thing, that people are looking for novelty, because if they decide they are going to travel only twice in a year, then they used to travel for 4 times in a year. They are looking for something which they had not done earlier, and they are going to really soak the experience. It is not only going and coming; it is about soaking. So I think when we can compare, we can say we are costlier than the our neighbors, but we are more we are also offer much more. So can we, maybe on some areas we don't, in some areas we do, and quite a lot. So I think that will be my another take on the issue.
That is the another segment to look at, is very rightly you have mentioned. But those areas, the high end is in a limited, accessibility is available. And we are looking for, the volume, as government has announced 33 million tourists by 2025. On that aspect, I was saying that we need to be competitive to have that target, achieved. So that is one point. Anyway, thank you very much. And the next
Ma'am,
point,
I would like to say that we can reassure you that, it's not just Golden Triangle, that at least the ones on the panel just now, Golden Triangle is now just a starter. The main dish is very different. It's either wellness or it's experiential tourism. And all of us are in that. It's no longer only Golden Triangle. So we are selling products. We are extremely happy that we have the opportunity to sell India. But at the moment we were discussing taxes. Otherwise, there's no place like India.
correct. The third point, third question is that tour operators also face a bigger challenge within the country and outside also, where online companies and aggregators, B2B and B2C operators, are taking away the major chunk of tourism business. and offering much competitive rates than the tour operator. So, what are your suggestions or the measures to counter and overcome this challenge? First, I will go to Mr. Madhok on this because I know it is his favorite subject.
54 countries.
Well, Pranab, thank you for coming to me on this, but I must confess with you that we are not challenged or threatened by online agents at all. Our business model is totally different, and I also have a different view about this. India is a long haul destination. It's a destination that talks about an all-encompassing holiday. So you talk about culture, you talk about heritage, you talk about wildlife, you talk about spiritualism, you talk about all this put together today. I think it is the differentiator that makes all our offerings unique in themselves. So while, of course, you'll definitely have a competition from an online operator across the board, there is no question about it. But I can speak for ourselves that it is not a threat. It is not a threat. There is enough volume of business. There are enough travelers globally who will opt for an online vacation package, staycation, whatever, fly, flip, flop into a beach. But I think we all have our own niche play. Our playbook is quite different from what an online player offers. So in a nutshell, I think our offerings, and to echo Mrs. Sharma's her statement earlier about maybe attracting more higher spending tourists and more luxury tourists or people who have the propensity to spend. I think that's what we all are doing today. Most of us are in the 4-star plus, 3-4-star plus category of tourists. And when they come to a country like India, they prefer to take a package that is offered by a tour operator, if not an international tour operator, then an online operator within the country. And that's where the competition perhaps is. It's on the ground here. Also, I think we really, with what this country has on offer, there's lots that goes around, and I don't see it as a real threat. But on to you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Vikram. Appreciate very much. And now I will go to Mr. Deepak Deva. Please give your take on this.
So I totally agree with what Vikram just said, because all our business models are very different. We are B2B, we are, relationship, product, experiences, research. All of that comes into play when we are selling a holiday to a customer. A customer is also buying a holiday from each of our companies overseas, our partners overseas, including Abercrombie & Kent or DER, which is our joint venture company that owns Coney overseas, etc., purely based on trust. So, that is like any other product. But, Mr. Sarkar, 20 years ago, we were all screaming about the internet, right? And, the good part about the travel business is we have no solution, but we know how to shout loud. That's one good thing about all of us. We didn't have any solution to the internet. Then came online rates. Once online rates came, again we started screaming and shouting from the roof and saying this is going to be a crisis. How can it be done? We became the victim. No, we cannot fight disruption. Can you fight an electric car today? It's like saying no, we want to keep fossil fuel mainstream. You can't. Elon Musk is the richest man of the world. His share is at $800, 10 times over in the last 6 months. It's disruption. We cannot fight stuff like that. We have to get real about it. And in fact, we should not even bother about asking these questions. We have to see where we will generate our revenue and how will we be able to sustain ourselves going forward. And the only way you can keep your revenue and profits up is if you keep innovating, find new products, make a wider selection of produce to offer your customer. It's like a farmer. If I only sell potatoes, only the guy who wants potatoes will come to me. But if I sell broccoli and potatoes and mushrooms, then maybe Mr. Madhok would stop by at my farm or Mr. Mistry would stop by at my farm. But Can you stop Airbnb? You know, we don't talk about this, but your biggest threat today of your business, and not for us, for hotels, is Airbnb. Airbnb at its IPO time was valued more than Marriott's, Hilton's, the whole 9 yards put together. They're over $100 billion valuation as a company. The customer is demanding something different. Airbnb is what the customer is looking for. Experiences. They don't care about just living in 5-star luxury hotels. They want to experience, they want a good host, they want to talk to people, they want to go out with people. And that's going to be the future of travel. And either we get on that and get going on it, or we just sit back and keep saying, oh God, the internet has killed us, online rates have killed us, Airbnb has killed us. No, we have to step out, step back, look at it and start and reinvent ourselves in order to remain relevant.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you. Homa, your take on this?
You really want me to try after what has been said? So when you look at tourism, technology now plays an extremely important role in whole of tourism. So whatever was on the ticketing side is gone online. So all hotels and all airlines, point to point, are booked even by us when we are traveling online. But today's panel are people who are into experiential businesses and on large itineraries. And therefore, what has changed as far as we are concerned is that our operators who over the years were making brochures are no longer making brochures, and they have brought in a lot of technology to catch hold of their clients. The way they used to get their clients a few years ago is very different. So a lot of technology changes are happening on the side from where we get the business. Obviously, at many places, they are expecting us also to have a lot of technology to do APIs. So technology is there in tourism. It is moving very fast, and it is in our own interest that we also gradually, go hand in hand and bring maximum technology, because that's how we'll be able to, do larger volume with lesser manpower. Because our biggest expense is manpower expense. So we all will require technology to a great extent to survive. So I have seen a lot of changes happening from where we get the business. But finally, when the business lands over here, what part that we are playing is ground handling, which remains the same, which is your transfers, your booking hotels and all. So the change has come from where we are getting business. Similarly, Deepak has just mentioned Airbnb. But if you look at Oyo, somehow in our inbound, we find that, Oyo is not, but globally, Oyo has done very well. And while we have deducted salaries 50%, last month, Oyo has given incentives to all their staff in India, I'm talking. So as Deepak says, there is disruption, and that part we are not in that game, but that nobody can stop. And you have very big players who have come in. So be it Make My Trip, the consolidation that do, or Oyo that we are seeing, these are players which have come into the tourism segment based on technology. And this is just going to be more and more. But we are in a different segment, and the more our partners go in for technology, the more business we will get. So that's where we are. We have to go with the tide.
Right, Homa. Thank you very much. Mrs. Sharma, would like to say something on this technology aspect?
Yeah, I think I always say something on everything. So you know what? One of my favorite authors has been Mr. Isaac Asimov. So one of his articles, which I read in 9th standard, it was titled "No Way But Onwards." So that's the motto for most of all of our lives, basically. It is never possible to go back in time. We all have to move further in time. And the entrepreneur's strength is, and the business is in how to, take benefit of your own strengths and how to even go and improve further. You are not a bureaucracy, right? That we take a lot of time in even understanding the issues. You are the business people. So it is not about competition will always be there. I'm sure all of you are competing with each other. So why we talk about competing with OTAs, as I think very well brought out by all of you, that we are talking of two very different things. One is about B2B, which is your strength, which is about partnership, which is about rational. That will never be threatened if if only we can keep providing the services which are expected out of us. So I think it is always to be have one foot on your change accelerator and see what is it, because see, it is like impossible not to uh, you have to deal with technology. I'm sure you are using as much technology as everybody else is. Only thing is, when we talk about that us versus them, we must realize there are some very core differences. Sometimes they also may become you and you may become them. So in the sense, what I'm saying is, as far as the tourism is concerned, it is about what client we are dealing with, what is our process, it is B2B, it is about selling more than one thing, or it's about giving a very differentiated service. So I think it's not a threat. As I think Mr. Madhok also mentioned, there is enough for everyone. There are different clients, there are different services expected, and there are different rates. So I think at the Ministry of Tourism level, we have been trying to talk to the both segments of the people. And I would say, I think industry is responding pretty well. That's what I can say.
Thank you, madam. So we all agree that they are not our competitors. We are competitors among each other, but we share ourselves in our own business, and we are doing fairly well because we have human touch. That is the most important part of our services that technology is unable to provide, and we are always available. That is the courtesy of Indian tourism that we are able to develop. And I agree with madam that we cannot go back to old days, but we have to look forward and take on positive direction that technology is going to help us, as rightly mentioned by Homa also, that it is going to help our manpower. It is going to help us to do more business, and it will help to give business more smartly to do the business. And B2B platform is ours, and we will maintain that. With this positive note, I move on to our fourth questions, and which I would like to, we all know tourism shall definitely bounce back. Though it will take some time, vaccination is in process in many countries, including India. Sooner or later, all countries shall make all their endeavors to attract maximum tourists to their country by opening up tourism activities with a new normal, with attractive packages and marketing strategies, whether it is inbound, outbound, both segment is going to start. This particular, question I would like to ask first to Mrs. Meenakshi Sharma ji, to know as to how our ministry is planning to open up tourism activities and what are the marketing plans to lure and attract more tourists to come to India.
So when we are talking of opening up of the tourism, the two things which are talking about, we are talking about when do the international tourism can start, when do we open our tourist visas, and how do we open it. So there is a lot of conversation which is going on at the government level with the Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Health, and External Affairs. As you are very well aware that this is not only what we want, it is also about how our source countries are doing. Starting a bubble maybe can be done, maybe in a faster way, whether or we can start with some kind of a testing requirement or vaccine requirement. So all these options are on the table. But I will be able to safely say that it is going to start soon, if not very soon, because it is dependent on few factors. Vaccination has alone may not be the right solution. Some countries are, as you are more aware than me, are trying to come on the air bubble through COVID passport kind of situation. Today only I was reading about 2 countries who have gone that way. I think Greece and Israel is already talking about that. But the situation is more or less very stable in India, and we hope it remains so. But the new strain is there. We are very much aware that our major source countries are still struggling with the very high number of COVID cases. And this new strain has created some stress in the, and WHO has also been saying to us to be cautious. Considering all that, and I think because the risks are much higher than the gains in the short term, we are working with the Home Affairs and Health Ministry to come out on a timeline. The good thing is, which may not be for this panel, is that domestic tourism is showing some very healthy trends, which is, I think, considering that it may not be helped one particular segment of the tourist service provider, but it has helped the other part of the service provider. The hotels are, the resorts are completely booked. And I mean, sometime when you are talking of the, Mr. Sarkar, you are talking of the numbers, no? The whatever target number, which I am not repeating myself, because I find it a little strange in today's environment after year 2020. But the domestic numbers have swelled up. They've really swelled up, right? So that is about the part of things. So please, I think I can like to assure you that when we open up, and not very late, it will be opened up with a very clear indication, so that the industry can take it. There is a right protocol there, what is the requirement, so that you feel safe and you are able to tell to your future customer that what to expect from India, and in a strong voice. So that is our strategy for this. The other point is about you know, how are we going to market it? So I think, as you may be aware, that we are already working on messaging. They are almost ready, and moment we are able to decide a strategy of when to open, we should be out there with all of you to again bring Incredible India in all its strength.
So any strategy that you have planned out, electronic media or, you know, fam tours or any other, how you are going to do the marketing? Just to begin.
So the our traditional tools like social media, the advertisements, the global media, all that you are aware we are going ahead with. We are also considering very strongly the fam tours, and especially about the influencer with all the major companies. And that is something which we will like to go very, like there have been discussion about that. Because, and then maybe please make some suggestions about some itinerary that what we should propose, because that we can't do without the industry's preparedness and what you will like us to do that. I think that is something we will like to do. We have already relaxed the MDA guidelines, as you are aware, and we can fund part of the promotion budget on you, because promotion budget is very much available with Ministry of Tourism. So considering that, so what we have, we already have the material, what we are going to say, but what we should promote, whom should we bring for fam tour, all that, or we take you there, please suggest us that, and whenever the borders start opening, we should take it up immediately.
Right, madam. Thank you very much. Now I would like to ask Mr. Deepak Deva that how you are looking for the revival of the tour operators post-COVID with short-term and long-term plans.
Right. So, Mr. Sarkar, first, just to make a point on the domestic market, and thank God for the domestic market, as you know, the supply chain of hotels and transport, railways and airlines continue to survive and were able to keep, you know, a supply chain in place. It's very important and very good that the domestic market did this. But please make no mistake, and I even say this to the government, the minute you open the borders of this country, the people who are spending 30 to 50,000 rupees a night or 20 to 40,000 rupees a night on a room are going to be on a plane, waving their passport, you know, flashing their credit cards, and will be sitting in different parts of the world. And as such, your domestic business is going to come to the upper end of the market, which is what India never saw before, is going to start having a bit of an issue. So the only way that we can balance tourism out is when we have a clear strategy on domestic and return of international. So it's not one or the other. I mean, this we have to all be very, very clear. The second thing is that we also know we've gone back 30 years, and the private sector has a very important role to play going forward from here. We all have to come together, whether it's associations, companies, etc., sit together, have a good plan. You see, the difference and the greatest opportunity for India and for Incredible India is you'll never get a chance like this to restart. If we can get this right, we are all on the 0 meters to run 100 meters. Everybody, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Egypt, all the ones who give us a hard time, South Africa, Brazil, they're all standing in the same line as us. Who will dart out first and who will take advantage of the customer is what we all have to think and apply our minds on. Business will return in October as a trickle. I think earlier Vikram did mention, or Homa, that January 2022 onwards, decent numbers should return. Decent numbers. Let's not start, blowing the trumpet from the roof yet. Hang on, the band is yet to play. COVID-19 has given us a once in a lifetime opportunity to move towards a more sustainable and resilient model of tourism development. Government of India, Incredible India must be a front runner if we want to lead in sustainable tourism development. This is going to be a very major factor going forward for the customer choosing a destination, and only the government can play this role and build policies around this. Vaccination of all hotels and travel staff should be treated as frontline. Everybody must be injected, because tomorrow if a customer comes, he should feel here are people that are receiving them and they have their injection. They are all, they've got the flu shot and they're in good shape. Give a clear message. India is vaccinated. We are ready to take care of you. Major marketing effort has to be largely through social media, and you have to go to the first 5 countries that give you the maximum business: UK, France, Germany, Russia, and Japan. Look at your numbers in the last 10 years. Whatever calculation you do, these are the 5 countries that are your breadbasket. Get going with these, then move to the next level. Pay the industry SEIS so we have money to restart our engines and run fast. And the only request I have from the government is, please do not increase any taxes or visa fees. Keep it simple. The role of the government is to spend its 530 crores on Incredible India. And if we miss this chance of being all standing on the same line with the rest of the big boys of tourism, the destinations, then we would have missed our chance. And once again, countries like Sri Lanka and Vietnam will gain. So we have a great opportunity. I think this is a great chance for us to gain the maximum thing, and industry and government must come together and play a very responsible role going forward.
You need to unmute. Sarkar sir, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Thank you, Deepak, and I would request Mr. Vikram Madok to give his points.
Thank you, Pranab. Okay. I think we are all ready. We are all ready and waiting. It's just a matter of when the borders open, the visas get reinstated, confidence levels in people are once again restored to travel. Yes, there's going to be a little bit of a slower start for India, and that's no question about it, because even though our report card is very good, but there are many destinations that right now are ahead of us, who have already opened their doors. They've already reached the customer. They're already trending in terms of inviting people to come to their countries. So the Ministry of Tourism, the Government of India, needs to make some rapid moves. Once, of course, there's a sense of normalcy that that things are becoming absolutely normal and our borders can open, that we need to embark on our campaign and speak about Incredible India in the international markets or through the various forums. Just a quick back of envelope. Globally, there's a lot of money that is sitting today with people who have accumulated wealth. And I can speak for the United States. I think Deepak forgot to mention the United States, but that's perhaps the biggest elephant in the room where you need to train your guns, because that's the biggest market, the North Americas, whether it's the US, Canada, or the Northern American markets, but that's a huge market, and let's train our guns into that market. They're sitting they've actually created wealth of something to the tune of $1.7 trillion, which is sitting in bank accounts, and they have money. 75%, this is a quick survey that was done by one of the major consortiums, 75% of them who the consumers said that they will ready to move out and travel once they've got their vaccine, their vaccine shot in place, and that's done. So they're vaccinated and they're ready to go. People with of over $100,000 income are the ones who really are absolutely ready and waiting with packed bags. The role of travel agents and tour operators are going to become even more important. And let's not disengage, or make sure that we actually engage with them, because the tour operator will actually drive business into the country. So globally, whether it's the source markets, as Deepak enumerated, let's spend our money in markets where the big fish swim. Let's not go into secondary and tertiary markets at this point in time. Let's train our guns in the main big markets. A few areas where we need to concentrate on, perhaps wellness, beach, adventure, golf, ski, I guess, and then not last but not the least, which is also spiritual and Ayurveda, holidays, and so on and so forth. I see all these areas coming back all together very, very quickly. But we'll have a small trickle, we'll have a slow start, probably the last quarter of 2021, but we will see a much better pickup in 2022 and going forward.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you. Homa, your take, please.
Yes, so today, ma'am, I do not want to lose this opportunity. One doesn't get to come and meet you, and you are in front of me. So we have discussed the disease, pandemic, how we've overcome, we've discussed neighboring countries. But before we leave, 3 points we want to discuss about ourselves. One is, if you can take these 3 points on behalf of the industry, it will really help us to survive. Only 1 point is give us our dues. I'm talking of SEIS. Number 2 point is MDA. In MDA, my number 2 point is MDA. I strongly feel equality is important. Today, I feel that those who do well are discouraged by the government not to do well. So to have a cutoff of 25 is not correct. We are all in the same boat. If we do well, like the foreign exchange earnings and all, we have to be at par. You cannot say, because you do 25, I will not give you. The amount is not much, but I think in domestic, you have not done that. You say, whoever comes. But when it comes to inbound, somehow you said there's a cutoff of 25. So 3 panelists over here, the amount may be small, but we need to be at par. We should not be discouraged for doing well. That's my point number 2. And point number 3, TCS has a meaning for the government. It is meant for Indians who can pay tax, what they are traveling, and they can recover it. But there is no way of taxing someone who cannot recover. It's not meant for foreigners. And Ministry of Tourism, who else can explain to the government within that in order to earn 5%, you're going to lose 95%. Each one of us either will lose our business to our competitors, or we will lose our profitability, or I will do my billing outside India. In short, 95% loss to the government. Somewhere somebody has not understood it, but like GST, we had so many changes, positive happening. I'm sure TCS also. If the ministry were to explain that this is meant for Indians and not for foreigners who cannot claim it back, I am sure they will understand it and revert it. So these 3 things, our dues, give us equality, and TCS will really help us, and wish you best for your promotion. And it was lovely knowing you, and thank you, everybody.
I just react to it. Can I just react to it? Because unfortunately, I have to go for another meeting just now.
No, but react, please.
Yeah. So I completely agree with your point number 1 and 3. I agree with 2 also, but I find it a little more difficult to. So I think the 1 and 3, I completely, we have been supporting it.
Great.
TCS, we can support even more. I think there's a little more action we require there to just convince them there's a difference between the
Indian and
foreigners. I think that is something we should do a little more. Number 2 can again be discussed, and maybe you can convince us there, and we are always open to be convinced. That's all. But thank you very much, knowing all of you. I'm actually a little sad to go out of this particular industry. I mean, And my heart will always be here. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Can I take your leave, please? Is
yeah,
this okay?
please.
I think we are also wrapping up.
Thank
No,
you.
no, I just wrap up. Thank you, madam. You can proceed for your meeting.
Thank you.
And the very well, points have been taken. I think the whole session has given some bright ideas and is good for recommendations also. And the last point where you have mentioned that the time is going to start from maybe early 2022 when some decent business will start, and we will look forward for our recovery. And very good point, Deepak, for vaccination or travel frontliner. And it is a very key issue that when we are ready to receive the foreign tourists, our people should also be vaccinated and ready at the airports to receive them
Of
with well
course.
vaccinated.
Of
And
course.
of course, the source market, which are already done and shown the numbers, they need to be targeted first. And those are the key issue where we will definitely those 5 source market, including USA, has to be a connect, as rightly mentioned by Vikram, which is very important. I know your major market, US, and as soon as the tourism is going to open up, they are all ready to come. We all know that. And lately, Homa, what you said, the 3 points, all the 3 points are valid. And I must tell you, in front of you, and Madam has agreed for the 2 and 3rd point. We have also taken up that to abolish the minimum and upper, the margins need to be go away, because we are all putting our efforts for the growth of our business. And it was really a excellent, our discussion. And I thank all the panelists. They came up. And another point that what Deepak said, I agree, totally agree, that these visa fees need not to be increased. If not, it should be free, as our neighboring countries are also doing free. Which, with the recommendation, I think we should all. I will write on behalf of IATO on these points. And with this, I thank you all the panelists. Over to Ashish.
Thank you, Mr. Sarkar.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pranab, Deepak, and DG Meenakshi in absentia. The whole purpose of the leadership conclave was to add the voices of all the leaders to the voices of the associations. And as you rightly said, it's not the journey has begun, especially when all countries are at zero base. So we hope for the best, and we hope all our viewers enjoyed this fantastic discussion, and the whole industry is working together. And we promise that we will take it up and we'll continue to work and partner. Thank you for sharing your inputs. Thank you so much, Pranab, and to your panel, Deepak, Homa, Vikram, Namaste. And to all our viewers, please log into the session. Ashish Gupta, Consulting CEO. Thank you very much. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.